All right, guys, I am going to show you some parts of the camera and how we need to make sure that we are taking care of them so that our cameras will be good and useful for us and you guys can actually start using them. So here are 6 different views of the type of camera that we're going to use, and there are many different parts to this little machine that we have. So first we're going to take a look at the front of the camera, and we have 8 different areas that we need to take a look at. The first is the shutter button. So the shutter button is what you're going to push to actually release the shutter so that you're taking your image. If you hold the button just halfway down, then you're going to activate the autofocus button, and that will set the camera so it does the focus automatically. If you press it down all the way, then it's going to go ahead and release the shutter, and that's when you have your image taken. So close to the shutter button, you'll see this little area right here that's actually a little light bulb. So what it does is that's your red eye reduction. So if you have that set in the menu options, it will light up a little bit to help reduce that red eye for your subjects. There's also a self timer on our cameras, so you can set that and it will blink just before it gets ready to take the picture and release the shutter. Next, it has to do with the lenses. So whenever we are changing lenses, we have 3 separate areas that we need to take a close look at. So this section right here is the button that you're going to press whenever you want to detach the lens from the main camera body. And you want to make sure that every time you do put a new lens in, that it locks in place, and you should hear a click once it is in place. So this section right here is where we mount the lens. That's why it's called a lens mount. So you'll see a red dot, a red circle, or a white square. So those are areas for you to line up the lens so that you know that it is in the correct place, so it will lock in correctly. So some of the lenses will have a red dot that you line up, and others will have a white square. So you'll look for those actually on the lens and then line them up and match them. As soon as you have them in, you're going to turn the lens clockwise until you hear the click. All right, here are some other things that are in the front part of the camera. So this is on the inside. When you don't have a lens in place, you can see a mirror that's in there. And that mirror is to reflect the light up so that you can see through the viewfinder the image. And as soon as you hit that shutter release button, it flips up and will take your picture. It'll send that image digitally to a screen on the back. If we were going to take any videos, there is a microphone on the front of the camera to record sound, but we're really not going to be doing that in photography. And the camera also comes with a built-in flash. So if our lighting isn't correct, it needs a little bit more light, then it will pop up automatically in some modes. You can also turn the flash off so that it doesn't pop up when you don't want it to. All right, now we have the view display, or the viewfinder display. So whenever you're looking through the viewfinder, you're going to see this display pop up. So this would be the section of what you are actually looking at, what you want to take an image of. And then we have some readings down here. So if it is in autofocus mode, AF, the area is going to be centered, or whatever you're looking through is going to be centered in this red box. And that's where it's going to try, the camera is going to try to focus in. So you can change whether or not it is done automatically, or you can make it manual where you're controlling where the focus is going to be. And then you'll see it in this section. So the displays that we have down here at the bottom, The first one over here is your shutter speed. We're going to learn a little bit more about what the shutter speed does for us as photographers. Um, so it tells you how long the shutter stays open whenever you're taking a picture. Aperture is another reading that we have. It's right here next to the shutter speed. And again, this is something that we're going to learn more about. But the aperture is like the diaphragm. So it opens and closes just like the pupil of your eyeball to either allow more light or less light in. The smaller the number, the wider the opening is. The ISO speed is right over here. So the ISO speed is the international setting or standard, and that pretty much just tells you how bright or dim the scene is that you're trying to capture. All right, now let's take a look at the back of the camera. You can see we have quite a few things here that we need to take a look at. So first we have the LCD monitor. It's kind of similar to what you'd see on the viewfinder. So you can view the image on here if you're not using the viewfinder to look through it. It'll also display a lot of the values like our ISO and our aperture and our shutter speed. We can see those on here as well. So we also have the viewfinder. We're going to actually be looking in through to take our pictures. So there's a little cup that's around there to help block out any light when you are looking through the eyepiece, and that's just that section right there. Some buttons that are on here. We have the quick control button. So that allows you to see some of the settings that are already there. You can just press that quickly to confirm you have everything the way you want it to be. After you've taken an image, if you want to see what it looks like, you'll use the playback button. So if you press that once, it'll show you the last picture that you captured. Some of the cameras are capable of having Wi-Fi so that they can send the data wirelessly to other computers or whatever you're going to use to download them. We don't really need to worry about this. We're not going to be using it, but I wanted you to know that's what that is for. If there is an image you do not want, you guys should know that this icon right here, this little trash can, is the erase button to get rid of something you don't want. We have the menu button. It's obviously going to pull up the menu so you can adjust the camera settings to what it is that you want. This section right here is using the set button. So once you have in the menu, once you have something that you want, you'd press the set button. You could also use these as up, down, left, and right buttons to choose different areas while you're on the menu. When you're not on the menu, these buttons show you what they're actually for. So the ISO button would be for changing your light sensitivity. Sorry, I wanted to go back. Forgot. So the AF would be your autofocus. WB is for white balance, and that's your timer setting right there. All right, so this button right here, the dioptric adjustment knob, is for those of you who maybe have glasses and you want to look through the viewfinder without your glasses. You can adjust that so you can see the image clearly without your glasses. That's pretty cool. Right here's your focus point. So whenever you're using autofocus, you can use this button right here to change the autofocus mode. Display button right here to turn the display on or off, or to go between movie playback mode if we're making movies, which we're not, or live view. So that would be on the display in the back. And this one here is if you are going to do any recordings of a movie, you would use this button here. All right, so now we have some other things to look at on the quick control screen, excuse me. So here's our battery level. Got to keep track, make sure that we're not draining our battery and we have enough battery to use for all the things that we want to do. This section right here shows you what mode you're in. So there are different settings that the camera have. We have action, panoramic, portrait, all different stuff that we're going to learn about. Over here at the bottom right side, that tells you how many shots you have remaining based on our memory card that we're using. This one right here tells you what format that the image is being stored or recorded. So this one right here just means that it's a large JPEG format, and JPEG is pretty much the format that we're going to use for our pictures. We have our aperture value, again, how wide the diaphragm is open or closed to allow in light. That's going to be right here. Shutter speed is next to it on the left, so how long that shutter stays open to capture the light. And then our ISO reading for how light or dim the image is going to be. All right, so now we have other things that are on top of the camera that we have to take a look at as well. So this section right here, it's on right above the viewfinder, that is called a hot shoe. And what this is for you to attach an external flash. So there are electrodes right there so that it sends the electrical signal to the flash to make sure that it turns on. We can also use our little levels that we have and attach that to the hot shoe to make sure that our camera is level. This dial right here changes the mode for the different settings that the camera has. So you can do a video recording. We can take a shot that's focused on landscaping, action shots, macro shots, up close shots, and panoramic or portrait shots. So we'll take a look at all of these settings later. Over here on the sides, those are our strap mounts. So later in this presentation, you're going to hear about the importance of our neck strap or wrist straps. So that's just where it becomes attached. If you are making a movie and you want to play back to hear how it is as well as see how it is, we have a speaker attached to the camera so you can hear the sound. And then this section right here, which is near where the lens is at, it's going to be on your lens, is going to allow you to change so that you can switch from automatic focus or manual focus. So automatic, the camera does it for you, and manual, you will be the one adjusting the lens focus. All right, on the bottom of our camera, we have two main things that you need to be aware of. So this section right here, when it opens up, that has your battery compartment and where we also store our SD card or our memory card. This part right here is where we attach a tripod to. So it's a little socket that you just screw onto your tripod to make your shots more stable. All right, now we're going to take a look at lenses. So the purpose of a lens is to determine the distance of what you're taking a picture of. So there are so many different kinds of lenses that you could have. We have about 4 different lenses that we're going to use. We have a standard lens, which is 25 to 35 millimeter wide angle lens that we will use. We also have a telephoto lens, which is for seeing things further away. And we have a macro lens, and that's for taking close-up images. So we will work with those different lenses later. Now there are sections of the lens that you need to know about. So this is a lens that was cut open, so you can see all the different glass that's in there to cause the refraction that we need to create the image or to get the image. Here on the front of the lens is the focus ring. So you can use this when you're in manual focus. You will adjust that to target onto whatever your subject is and make sure it's in focus. And then there's another one, which is the zoom ring to either zoom in or out, and it will mark the distance here at the bottom so you can see how far away it will focus onto your subject. All right, so now that we've looked at the parts of the camera, we're going to take a look at how we care for our camera. So one thing you need to be aware of is dust. Dust can be a major problem to a camera because it can settle in whenever you're changing your lenses. And if that happens, you end up getting all this noise and background, say, problems with your images that you can't really get rid of. So one thing that we do to try to avoid getting dust inside the camera is to point the camera down when we're changing the lens so that if there is any dust, it's going to fall down and not into the camera. And if we're outside and the lens gets pretty dusty from dirt blowing around, we'll want to make sure that we wipe it all off carefully before we actually change the lens. When we are attaching lenses, we want to make sure that if we're not going to change a lens immediately, there is a body cap that came with the camera that we put that on top to make sure dust doesn't get into, because what will happen is there is a kind of like blinds, like window blinds, that is in place of the sensor. However, between exposures that opens up, so if any dust is inside of the camera, it can get blown back in there onto your filter, and then that's going to ruin every single picture that you have. When we are using our camera, anytime we're not actually taking pictures, we want to make sure that we're putting the lens cap on, and if we're taking them off, we need the lens cap on both the front and the rear of the lens to keep both sides safe and free from being damaged. And we really want to make sure that we're avoiding touching the lens, the glass part, as much as possible, because your fingers can create smudges on the lens, and you also have an acidic grease that's on your fingers, and over time you don't really see much of it, but it will build up and it can eat into the surface of the lens. And the result is every time you take a picture, you get a flare effect on your image, which you don't want. So try to avoid touching the lens as much as possible. Just try to do the case part of it, the plastic part on the outside, and not the actual glass part. And if you do, make sure that you are using a dry microfiber cloth to wipe away the grease. Later, you're going to see a video, and there are alcohol rubs that are used to remove grease as well from your fingertips. Try to avoid getting the lens dirty as much as possible, and that way we don't have to clean it as often. So it's better just to keep a clean lens and only clean it when it's dirty. That way we don't run the risk of damaging our lens. So just try not to get them dirty in the first place. All right, one thing that I am going to stress to you guys is we always want to use the neck strap or the wrist loops whenever we are using the camera. So as you're shooting the pictures and moving around, you run a good risk of slipping or bumping the camera into something, cause you to lose your grip on it and drop the camera, or have it fall onto something like a desk. So those straps can save us from a potentially disastrous breakage on our cameras. If you are passing the camera to another person, you have to make sure that you're using both hands to do that. You'll want to pass the strap first. You're going to see a video in which a guy shows you the correct way to handle a camera, and you're going to notice that he has the strap wrapped around his wrist pretty well, kind of like I demonstrated for you guys at the beginning of the semester. So you want to pass the strap first, then you'll pass the body of the camera to the person, and then make sure that that person has a really good hold on the camera before you let it go. All right, so now we're going to watch this video that Canon produced, and it shows you how to properly care for a camera. Now, a lot of the cleaning that you're going to see in here, you won't be responsible for, but I do want you to see some of these tips that they have so that you know what not to do as well as much as what to do.
Hi, I'm Holly from Canon Service and Support. In this video, we've put together some common recommendations to help you take good care of your Canon cameras and lenses. These simple tips for proper maintenance may help you avoid an unnecessary support call or repair claim. Following these recommendations could even extend the life of your gear, and you'll be confident that you're using your equipment correctly. When you're confident in your equipment, you can focus on photography, and that's what it's all about. Keeping your camera and lenses clean is probably the easiest and most important thing you can do. Unwanted elements such as dirt, dust, sand, water, and smoke can damage your gear or impair its ability to perform. Extreme heat, cold, and humidity can also be harmful, so keeping your equipment clean and protected is good preventative maintenance. Of course, Canon products are designed to perform under a variety of conditions with the utmost quality in mind. But even with everyday use, it's helpful to know how to keep your equipment in good shape. You might be surprised at how important and easy proper maintenance is. Keeping your lens and sensor clean will avoid spotty or blurred images. You can maintain unobstructed communication between your lens, camera, and flash by making sure the electrical contacts are clean. Proper maintenance can preserve smooth zoom operation, button, dial, and touchscreen functionality, and also help keep the viewfinder clear. While you're cleaning your equipment, it's a good time to check it as well. Here's some things we recommend, especially before a big event or trip. Be sure your lens mounts smoothly and that the release button works easily. This button is spring-loaded. It should feel firm and not be able to be compressed too easily. Be sure the lens contacts are clean and shiny. Check to be sure the zoom and focus rings work smoothly when zooming from one end of the barrel to the other. Test all the dials and switches to be sure they move smoothly from one setting to another. The hot shoe should be clean and shiny, and the pop-up flash should have proper tension and rebound smoothly. Check to see if your media card inserts smoothly into the slot of your camera. If your camera uses a CF card, look inside the slot to see if any pins are bent and check the card to make sure there are no obstructions. If so, do not insert the card into the camera, because you could damage the pins. Keeping your gear clean is easy with the right tools. Start with a soft bristled brush to remove dust and debris from the camera, lens, and lens glass. When cleaning the lens body, remember to fully extend the lens to get the entire surface. A hand air blower is a great tool for gently blowing dust and debris off the lens and camera mirror. Squeeze the pump repeatedly to blow particles off the surfaces. You can also use a hand air blower to clean your sensor. Just remove your lens, set your camera sensor cleaning mode to manual cleaning, and gently blow air onto the sensor. A word of caution, the camera sensor is very delicate, so never directly touch it with your hand, a brush, or any other object. When you're finished cleaning the sensor, turn the camera off and the mirror will return to its normal position. The hand air blower can be used to blow out the media card and battery slot too. Here's a good tip. When you change lenses, always point the opening at the ground to help avoid debris falling into the camera body. And be sure to always use a body cap on your camera and front and rear lens caps on your lenses. They conveniently interlock for easy storage. Just don't forget to take the lens cap off before you shoot. A microfiber cloth can be used to clean your lens glass. Start in the middle and work towards the edges in a light circular motion. You can also use it to wipe down the LCD and the camera body. Just be sure that when you use your cloth that it's clean. Use a high-grade isopropyl alcohol to remove smudges on your lens glass. The higher percentage of alcohol, the less water it contains, and the better it will be for your product, since water is definitely not a good thing for your gear. The label usually indicates alcohol content clearly. Here, we're using 91%. Wrap a lint-free wipe or lens tissue around your finger and moisten it with the isopropyl alcohol. Don't use too much alcohol. The wipe should be moist, but not wet. Again, just start in the center and work your way out in a circular motion. You can also clean the lens contacts as well as the hot shoe contacts, the LCD and the viewfinder, with alcohol and a lint-free wipe. Canon sells a small optical cleaning kit that includes a soft retractable brush, lens cleaning fluid, microfiber cloth, and a lens tissue. But any of these items can easily be found online or at a camera store. Don't be tempted to use common household items, they can really damage your equipment. Household cleaners have harsh chemicals that can damage camera surfaces. Paper towels can be too harsh and abrasive. Regular tissues have too much lint. Pencil erasers, although thought to be useful in cleaning electrical contacts, can actually scratch the surface and wear off the protective coating. Canned air has too much pressure and can cause real damage, especially to the sensor. Never ever use canned air to clean the camera sensor. After you've cleaned your equipment, it's a good idea to take a test photo or video to be sure everything is working properly. A big step towards keeping your gear clean is proper storage and protection. Using a camera bag or case will not only protect your equipment, but it will also help ensure that you have everything you need when you're shooting. There are quite a few sizes and styles of bags and cases to choose from, depending on your needs. The larger ones have compartments and areas available for extra batteries, memory cards, and even some of those small cleaning tools I was just talking about. Just be sure to keep your case clean too. Here's another quick tip. Store your camera and lenses in a sealed plastic bag when moving in and out of extreme heat or cold to prevent condensation from forming. Let your equipment adjust to the new temperature before removing it from the bag. This will help minimize fogging that could occur and affect your images. And finally, it may seem like common sense, but it's really important to attach your camera strap correctly. Nothing will ruin your day and your camera like having the strap come loose. Even though it seems simple, there's actually a recommended way, where the end of the strap will end up being threaded through the inside of the buckle for maximum strength. To do this, pass the end of the strap through the outer side of the strap mount, and then pass it through the inner side of the buckle. If you start attaching your strap by passing the end through the inner side of the mount, it will not be as secure. When you're through, your strap should look like this, not this. Also, if you've had the strap for a while, check to be sure that it's not worn. We hope you found these simple tips helpful. Check out our other videos for more great information. If you need more help, you can always send us an email or call us.
All right, so that is how we take care of a camera. Now I want you to see how we hold the camera. So we're going to watch this video and take a look at how he holds the camera and shows you the correct way to do it. Now watch his arms and how he really makes sure that he has that strap connected to him so he doesn't actually accidentally drop his camera.
Can you make me not look bald? Hi, this is Joseph Videssa, 52 Frames. I just wanted to come with a quick tip here. I see so often on our monthly photo walks, people that just get their DSLR cameras, or even people that have been shooting for a while, they make the most fundamental mistake in shooting, and I think this is so important to learn, is how to hold the camera properly. It makes such a big difference with stability, especially when you get into longer shutter speeds. So basically, you want to hold the camera with your left hand underneath the body, with your fingers on the lens. And then with your right hand, then you bring it around, and obviously your finger on the shutter. The biggest error that I see that amateurs do when they're holding the camera is they have their hand on this side on the lens instead of on the bottom. So when your fingers are here holding the lens, first of all, you're actually causing more shake by having your fingers on the lens, and you're holding the camera up. You're using your strength to hold the camera up in the air as opposed to it resting on your left hand. Kids playing. This is what life's about, Jeremy. Don't screw this up. That's the first most important component of holding the camera steady. The other is to keep your elbows on your body. Okay, so your elbows should be actually in front of your rib cage, tucked in, so that you have 2 points of support, like a tripod. And the third point of support is actually the viewfinder on your eye, on your eyebrow. So holding the camera to your face, you have now a super stable 3 points of support, which is so much better than like holding it out in the air like this that I see people do. Okay, another great stabilizing position is actually in the seating position. It's especially good when you're getting shots lower to the ground. And the key to this is you want your elbow on your knee. So again, you're creating a point of contact of stability here, and I'm just sitting on my back foot. I don't know if that's in the frame. The third position I want to show you is the lying down position, because it's all about getting the shot. If you're not looking ridiculous while you're shooting, then you're not doing a good enough job. So let's get down and dirty. All right, now that you're looking ridiculous, you can keep your elbows on the floor for 2 points of contact, and your camera to your face for your third point of contact. And this is just a great vantage point to get some really dramatic shots. All right, so that's your quick tip on how to properly hold a camera. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more quick tips from yours truly and other professionals in the photography world. And visit 52friends.com for more information on our weekly photo challenge project. Happy shooting.
All right, guys, so there we go with how to hold our camera correctly. And you saw him do it from 3 different points of view or vantage points: standing up, being down mid-level, and then laying down. So when we start talking about composition, we'll talk about the importance of changing our points of view and how we're shooting images. All right, so now that's the end. So in order to show me that you know the parts of the camera, how to take care of it, and how to hold a camera, there's going to be a quiz for you in Canvas. So you're going to take this quiz. You can take it as many times as you need to show me that you know how to do this, you know how to take care of our cameras, so that we can actually start using them. So I hope you guys learned something, and you can always come back and watch this video again if you need to see all that stuff all over again and get those parts down pat. We're not going to have a quiz over every single part. That would be a whole lot. Just the important stuff that we need. All right, hope you guys